Hello and welcome to the American Council on Exercise live webinars continuing education series. My name is Dr. Jackie Crockford and I am very excited to have you join us again today for another live event. Before we get started with our live webinar today, I have a few special announcements from ACE. Right now, we have launched ACE Pro Compass. ACE Pro Compass is a new career building tool that will allow you, an ACE certified health and exercise professional, to navigate the health and fitness industry and build the career that you want. In ACE Compass, we have curated content, including some engaging challenges that will help you find the career that you want to have. So you can join ACE Compass and start planning your path right now, and that's at compass.acefitness.org. Also, brand new to ACE, we have the ACE Job Board. And the job board is here so that you can search for, apply, and communicate with potential employers about that job that you want to have. So you can upload your resume. That might include communicating with those potential employers and sharing social media accounts. You can join the ACE job board and take a search right now, and that is at careers.acefitness.org. And you've probably already heard, but as an ACE certified professional, you have free access to the ACE Pro Connect app. This is a great place where you can connect, learn, and grow with other ACE certified pros. So this is a free download. If you are an Android or iPhone user, you can download the ACE Pro Connect right now, ACE Pro Connect app right now on your phone or smart device, and you can connect, learn, and grow with other ACE professionals. All right, we have a great live event planned for you today, but before we get started with that, let's go over a few logistics so that you can have a wonderful learning experience. Remember, you are joining us today for free, so no continuing education credits are awarded, but we'll talk more about how to earn your CECs after today's presentation. Remember, you are joining us on YouTube, so take a look at your YouTube viewer right now. You should see a chat bar, and feel free to use that chat bar at any time. I'll be monitoring that chat throughout today's live event, and you can type in your questions for our presenter there, and we'll take some time at the end of today's live webinar to answer your live questions. Okay, if you're ready for today's course, let's get started. Welcome to your course, Establishing a Successful Outdoor Fitness Business. My name is Dr. Jackie Crockford, and I'm excited to be your host for today's webinar. And joining me today is our presenter, Angel Chelik. Hi, Angel.
Hi, Jackie. Thanks so much for having me back.
Yes, welcome back to the ACE studios. Here we are. You're a San Diego local, and I know that you have taught group exercise for a long time. You've taught outdoor, you've taught indoor, you've taught large groups, small groups, everything in between. So we're very excited to have you here today to share with us about how we can really elevate our outdoor fitness business. Why is this an important thing to be talking about today?
Absolutely, because we are getting more and more trainers outside, and we want to make sure that you're as professional as possible and that you're doing all the right things legally within your scope of practice so that you can lead a successful business and your clients can be successful in your classes.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. So you're the right person to talk to today. We're looking forward to hearing about it.
Great. Thanks so much. In 2021, ACSM revealed their survey of worldwide fitness trends, and they put outdoor activity as the 4th most popular trend. And it's really no big surprise. We know that working outside is popular, but the COVID pandemic has made it even more so. Maybe you're a group fitness instructor, like myself, who pivoted and took classes and clients outdoors during the closure of a lot of our studios. And maybe you're like me and you're still there because the clients are really enjoying it. Even though studios have reopened and I am back to teaching indoors as well, and a lot of those members are back with me indoors, there's still an element of the outdoor experience that they are wanting to keep. So maybe that's the wheelhouse that you're in, or maybe you're a group fitness instructor who is listening to participants in your classes and you're hearing that they want to move outdoors. And maybe it's just for a class or two, but they're looking to venture out to the great outdoors. So regardless of where you're at, I hope that this experience provides you with a blueprint of how to get people moving and keep them moving outdoors. Let's take a look at what we're going to accomplish today. I'm going to help you determine the legal parameters surrounding outdoor fitness. So we're going to talk liability, waivers, music, permitting, and insurance. We'll identify program design aspects that are most suitable for classes outside. And we'll look at ways to provide an inclusive and engaging experience for every person in your class. Now, depending on where you are in the country, outdoor exercise might be a year-round thing. Or maybe it's just seasonal because you have fair weather participants who are quite particular about when they want to exercise outside, right? Those conditions need to just be ideal for them to join you. But regardless, we know that there are many positive benefits to engaging in exercise outside on our total health and well-being. So let's take a look at some of those studies. In 2013, Mitchell and colleagues found that people that exercised outside regularly, which they just identified as actually 1 day a week, had half the risk of poor mental health than those people that weren't exercising outside. In addition, for each extra day spent exercising outside, they further reduced that risk by an additional 6%. A Japanese study looked at forest bathing, which is simply just being in nature, and found that even just a short period of time outside reduced cortisol levels in people. And of course, cortisol is our stress hormone. We can double down on that because we know when we exercise, our body releases norepinephrine. And norepinephrine can help reverse the damage that stress causes to the brain. Studies have also shown that people's brains, when exposed to more sunlight, have greater levels of serotonin. And serotonin is our body's natural mood stabilizer. It helps reduce the symptoms of anxiety and depression. And of course, being outdoors provides us with more vitamin D, which has also been found to have mood-enhancing effects. So it's pretty clear. Outdoor exercise and being outdoors has great benefits on our mental health. But not only is exercise good personally, individually, it's really good to do exercise outside because it enhances our community. It makes things more accessible to people. So our participants can walk to your workouts, they can ride their bike, and you can choose the parks that are close to your house as well. So it makes your commute even easier. And let's face it, there's not a ton of overhead costs, with doing exercise outside. We're not renting a space, we're not paying people to clean, and we don't have to purchase large pieces of equipment. So we could pass those savings on to our participants. Now, I want to be clear that I am not giving any type of legal advice, nor is ACE. I'm providing you with some recommendations to consider, but when you have questions that go outside the scope of what I'm about to talk about, definitely consult legal counsel or an accountant. So let's first talk about permits. Most cities are going to require that you have a permit to use public outdoor space to conduct business. So your first step is to research this information with your city's Park and Rec department. And a lot of this stuff is available online, but you can also pick up the phone, call them, get to know them, and have them walk you through the steps. What you're going to be wanting to look for is, of course, how much are they going to charge you? Is it going to be an hourly rate, or is it a flat day rate for usage? In my city, in San Diego, they do charge by the hour. So if you were going to teach a class at 6 a.m. and also one at 6 p.m., you would pay 2 separate charges for that, even though it's on the same day. In addition, you need to provide the city with this information well in advance. They charge quarterly, so you're responsible for giving them 3 months of your schedule, identifying what days of the week and what times exactly you would be in that space. So there's a lot of I's and T's right there, so make sure that you get all of that confirmed with the city. You're also going to want to look at questioning if there is a certain threshold in which you might not even need a permit. If you keep it under a certain number, maybe 5 or 10 people, they might not even require you to pay the permit fees. Lastly, work together. Use the city to your advantage here. Ask if they would be willing to reduce the permit cost or get rid of the permit cost if they can advertise your services on their website. Even though you're not a city employee, they might want to put that on their website because it really makes their city and their neighborhood be inclusive to all about wanting to improve the health and the well-being of the residents in the city. Next, we're going to look at business licensing. You need to identify yourself as a business. And the easiest way to do this for somebody who's just really looking to teach a couple classes a week outside is to go the route of the sole proprietorship. So this is where you fill out minimal paperwork. It's quite easy, and this is, by and large, the most popular way that people go about this in our industry. So the minimal paperwork allows you to set up the sole proprietorship, which puts you in charge of all of the funding of this business. That comes with a caveat, because if you are sued or you have any delinquent type of debt, they will come after the sole proprietor, which is you. And that is the case even if you decide to have a doing business as a DBA. And a DBA is just a nice way to have a more lucrative type of business name for that sole proprietorship. It doesn't replace it. So on the sole proprietorship paperwork, you will be the owner, John Smith. But if you don't want to advertise as John Smith's Workout and you want to call yourself Lakeside Fitness, then you create a doing business as Lakeside Fitness. But the end result is that if you had to, if you were sued and you had any charges brought against you, you are still responsible for that. So they may come after personal assets. I don't want to get you scared by saying anything like that. This is the most common way that fitness professionals go about these types of services. But again, if you have concerns or issues, consult legal counsel. The next thing is, how are you going to get paid? So we all use apps like Venmo and Zelle to exchange money. But if you are setting up a sole proprietorship, you cannot be using your own personal Zelle or Venmo account to bring in money. You have to create a separate business profile on this app. And it's very easy. It's just as quick as it is to set up your personal profile. But in fact, when you go to set up the business profile, they will be asking for information from your sole proprietorship business info. So they kind of go hand in hand, okay? You really want to make sure that you're not crossing over into these accounts, because these services have caught on and they can freeze your account and they can refer you to the IRS because you are, using their services, bringing in money and not essentially paying taxes on it. So make sure that you are doing that properly. The third thing I want to just talk about real quick on the payment apps is, how do you get paid? So the benefit of using the Venmo or the Zelle is that people can pay you from the app on their phone when they're at their own house. Or if you're going and taking this to like the next level and making a full-on outdoor business boot camp class or boot camp business, you might have a website, and then you can put a link to that Zelle or Venmo account on your website. Or you can get a QR code from these companies, and when you're in person, you can show them the QR code and they can just scan it and instantly send you the money. So it is still quite easy to use. It does come with a little bit of a cost. Nowhere near the cost of the traditional credit card payment processors, because those can run up to about 3 to 4% per transaction. The Zelle and the Venmo are anywhere between like 1.9 and 2%. So it is a little less expensive, but it's definitely the legal way to go. So make sure you identify the business profile for your payment. And then in addition, you want to make sure that you have a business account, separate from your personal checkings and savings account. So all expenses are being released from there and all income is going into that account. At the end of the year, you'll fill out a Schedule C for tax purposes, and that will prompt you to then pay taxes. Just because you're getting all of that money into the Zelle or the Venmo account doesn't mean it's all yours. So you need to be proactive and think about paying quarterly taxes so that you don't have to owe a chunk of money at the end of the year. And also consider that you will be paying self-employment taxes in that Schedule C. So you need to be thinking about setting money aside from all of that income that's coming in to cover all of these costs. And lastly, scheduling. So again, this is really going to be different for everybody out there because you're going to determine what you envision this venture looking like for yourself. If you are scheduling 15 or 20 classes a week outside, you're doing a full-on business outdoors, then you probably want to purchase a service like MindBody, which can be expensive. It's about $120 to maybe $300 plus a month, depending on what you're getting out of them. But this is how you're going to know that people are attending your class and that people are paying for these classes. But if you're keeping it on the smaller side, maybe just an app like GroupMe is going to be more appropriate. It's free, people can download it quickly, and it's a great way to communicate to see how many people will be in attendance, maybe like the night before your class, so that you can plan accordingly. Most parks won't even allow you to have a permit unless you show signs of insurance. So I suggest talking to a company like FitnessPack, which will provide you with this package of insurance that has two things. It has comprehensive general insurance, which covers you for accidents, but it also includes professional liability insurance, which covers you if somebody were to make a claim of negligence against you. Now, FitnessPack will also give you a waiver. So you want your clients signing that, whether it's prior to class, you have something online for them. If you have a website, they can do it there digitally, or maybe they can do it digitally on an iPad with you, or having it on paper so that they can sign that. Once they sign it, that's showing that they are aware that there could be an inherent danger to what they are about to do, but they are willing to still proceed in the activity. It does not prevent them from suing you, though. They can still make a claim against you if they think that you are liable for something. When we exercise indoors, we're teaching indoors, our companies, organizations, gyms, they are paying a blanket licensing fee to the performance rights organizations to allow us to use copyrighted music. That does not exist in the outdoors. And I know what you're thinking. Well, Angel, I pay for an iTunes or a Spotify account, so I'm good. No, you're not. because in those terms and agreements, it specifically says that that is for personal, non-commercial use only, even if you are paying a monthly service fee. So if you want to use music outside, your best route is to purchase royalty-free music from a company like Muscle Mixes or Power Music. But make sure that you can use music. When you talk to Park and Recs, they will identify and put into your disclosures and your permitting what is acceptable. And some parks might not even allow you to bring music with the speaker. You might also want to inquire about if a microphone is, legal or not. So consult with Park and Rec to determine if you can play music. And if you can, make sure that it's not only appropriate for the genre that you're teaching, the demographic that you're teaching, but you're in the public setting. You don't want to have music that could be potentially offensive to somebody that's walking by and a member of the community in which you're working in. All right, let's start talking about the programming that we can offer outside. Things to consider: your target market. If you're currently teaching group fitness, you probably already know the area and the market that you thrive in teaching. So are you looking to just simply transfer those people outside, or are you looking to reach out into a new market? That's for you to decide. When you're thinking about your class, how big is it? Are you wanting to be the most popular outdoor fitness trainer in your city? Or are you okay with taking 3 or 5 people and keeping it like a more intimate, exclusive environment? For me personally, when the pandemic hit, I was teaching large groups, 35, 40 people indoors. When the studios closed, I was connected, like of course you are, to some people in your class more so than others. And they reached out and said, hey, Angel, we still got to keep this going. So I kept it a pretty small network of people that already had a little bit of an existing relationship with each other. And when we moved outside, it really brought us together even more so. And it allowed me to create an environment that felt even more exclusive. So for me, keeping it really, really small was valuable. With exclusivity, allows you to charge a little bit more. This is now small group training versus having 30 people where people are like, well, I could just pay a couple dollars. I'm comfortable with that because I'm not getting that individualized attention that I get when there's only 5 people. So again, this is just my experience, so you got to kind of figure out what feels right to you. But consider, what are you making in your studios, and do you want to make the same amount of money outdoors? And does that actually translate well? Because sometimes in our indoor spaces, we have access to a lot of different things, equipment-wise. Are people going to feel like they can pay the same amount without having access to that equipment? Well, we're going to talk about equipment a little bit later on too, so I'll dive into that a little bit more. But consider that market and really think about the area that you teach in. What's the price point of going for in an indoor class? And do you think you can charge that same price point outside? Are you going to just have people pay every time they come, like a drop-in rate? Those tend to be a slightly higher price point than providing your participants with an option to buy a package of classes. And this can be something that you just keep track of yourself. If you're not going down the whole route of having a website and purchasing online, you could really just keep track of things in the old school pen and paper. So think about the options that you want to offer people. And then, where are you going to hold these classes? Okay, the location really matters because we got to look at, are we offering things in the morning before work or after work? Are you in a big city that people are commuting on freeways and it's going to take them even longer to get off those freeways into the neighborhoods? Can you find parks that are really close to the freeways that have easy access on and off during those prime time slots? Also look at the number of classes that you want to teach in a week. Here's an important piece. Talk to the participants and figure out what else they're doing during the week. Instead of spreading yourself too thin and saying, I'm going to have classes every day a week because I think people want that, they might be okay with going back into the studios and their big box gyms a couple days a week. And then that will allow you to capture them maybe on a Tuesday and Thursday or a Monday, Wednesday, Friday and get greater attendance on those fewer days instead of giving them the availability to come and see you every day. So again, get an idea of what else they're doing and see if you can fit it into their schedules on when it will be appropriate and good timing for their routines. When looking for the perfect park, think about these other factors. Are there bathrooms? Is there parking close by? And is there a water fountain? They're not necessities, but depending on your location, these could be things that are really helpful to your participants. And lastly, once you actually get the park, where inside the park is the best setup for you? You don't want to have people walking right over you. You don't want to have dogs coming into your space because you're right in a thoroughfare walkway. Nor do you want to be right next to the road, obviously for safety concerns, but also for noise. So see if there's an area inside that park that is just right. Next, let's start to look at the types of classes that we can deliver outdoors. There's really two formats that seem to work the best outside. First is the beat-based classes, okay? And these are, like in the picture, like a Zumba, something where you, the instructor, are using the teaching style in the command way, that you are getting people to follow along in real time. You're demonstrating and cueing, and they're following along to the beat of the music. And actually, these tend to do pretty well outside, but there could be some issues. Because think about it, in all of our classes, we want to hit the visual learner, the auditory learner, and the kinesthetic learner. And that applies for outdoors too. Well, if we're teaching a Zumba class and we are playing music, are they able to hear the music? And are they able to see you? You're not going to have that traditional little platform that you have indoors. And there might be a tree or a pole nearby. So are you creating a space where people can have the ideal learning environment? So even though they're popular, it could be a little cumbersome. More traditional classes tend to be the circuit training types of classes. So you might do a strength sequence for 10 minutes, cardio for 10 minutes, go back to strength, finish with a little bit more cardio. Two popular formats, or two different, I should say, teaching styles that are popular in this capacity are the practice teaching style. That's when you, the instructor, are leading the class and everybody is doing the exercise at the same time. So maybe you're on a strength sequence and everybody is doing squats. Now you've got people of all different ages and fitness levels in that class. So somebody might be doing a kettlebell squat loaded up with weight. You might have somebody else doing just a body weight squat. Somebody might be doing a jump squat. In that format of practice style of teaching, the participant is choosing their intensity. So this format works really, really good with like our HIIT classes, EMOMs every minute on the minute, Tabatas, where you're keeping track of the time and people are working at their own intensity level. Or you can think of that circuit as stations, where people are doing different things and you have different pieces of equipment set up. And you might be alternating between a strength station, a cardio station, and a core station, maybe like a functional training station. So everybody has different tasks. And you are going around in that tell, show, do method that you love, and you are demonstrating, cueing, and walking around and providing feedback to all of our participants. So those tend to be the formats that are most popular to teach outdoors. But next we got to think about the equipment, because these things go hand in hand. What equipment do you have is going to dictate what type of classes you teach. And are you going to purchase equipment? Are participants going to bring equipment to the workout? I think most people are okay with bringing a yoga mat, but if they're walking or riding their bike to your workout, it might be cumbersome to be asking them to also bring a pair of dumbbells. So think about the equipment that you have and how that will help you design your workouts. I'm going to give you a personal caveat here too. When I teach indoors, I teach in a running studio. So we're on treadmills and we have access to dumbbells and resistance bands. That's pretty much it. So when we're outside, I want to enhance that teaching and provide them with different pieces of equipment. Things that they don't have access to when they're with me indoors. So we're using inertia waves, we're using TRX, BOSU. Of course, we're still using some dumbbells and resistance bands, but making it a little bit more, again, on that exclusive side, creating a different experience for them, I think is what's helping them come back even 2 years later. Utilize the park landscape. So look around. Do you have benches that you can do step-ups on, tricep dips? Could you wrap that resistance band around a bike rack and do some tricep kickbacks with it? That's super helpful to be able to access that, but also be mindful of the public. If you're there in primetime spots of the day, people might be using those things. And just because you're paying a park permit does not mean that you are all in charge and you get to, control that whole park. You have to be respectful of the environment. Confirm what is and isn't acceptable with the park and rec department. They might not even allow you to put the TRX around something like a tree or a piece of playground equipment. Like you always do before and after class, check equipment. Make sure that there's no rips in the resistance bands and everything looks good and safe for your participants. And finally, leave no trace. So that just doesn't mean looking around and making sure that we didn't leave water bottles around, but look at the environment where you're teaching. If you're on a grassy area and you've been there for a year plus and your participants are continuously throwing the medicine ball down in one spot, it's gonna do some wear and tear on Mother Nature. So let's be mindful of that and try to rotate through things enough that we can keep the growth happening in our parks. We need to be prepared for every class that we teach, but teaching outside brings a whole new element to preparedness. If you're teaching in the early mornings or the late evenings, it could be potentially pitch dark. So can you bring lights? Again, something to ask Park and Rec department, because it will be a great an enhancement to the safety features for your class. Can you bring signage, like a little pop-up display with your name, your business name on it? And if you can't, at least have some marketing available, like business cards, because people will be walking by. You're going to see the same people over and over, and hopefully at some point they're going to, have the courage to come over and the interest and ask you for some information. So have that readily available for those moments. When you get to the park, survey the grounds. Do a walkthrough, make sure that there's no holes in the ground, anything that can, cause an injury to somebody. But also, it might be helpful to bring a broom. For me, we do have a huge grassy area in the park, but my participants didn't love getting down on the dewy grass in the morning. So we found, on the other side of the park, a big concrete area. And it's perfect because it's always dry, it's flat, and it actually is a little bit more friendly when it comes to doing certain exercises. But with that, come some palm trees and their droppings. So I have my broom in my car and I am ready to help the Park and Rec department out and sweep things and keep things clean so that my participants are safe and that we have a great environment to be working out in. Keep a first aid kit nearby, whether it's just right in your car or I have like a fanny pack that I keep things in. So Band-Aids, tissues, ice packs, and like sunscreen in the summer are always nice to have on hand. Make sure that you have an emergency response plan. Know your cross streets, and also make sure that you are in an environment that gets good cell reception in case you need to activate 911. And then personal safety. Again, you might be arriving to the park early morning in the dark. So be aware of your surroundings, but if you feel more comfortable having mace with you, definitely keep that nearby in case there's an issue that arises. Now, I'm also going to say here, just because this is your business and you're outside, doesn't mean that you have to put yourself in any type of uncomfortable situation that's happening in the park. Call 911 or non-emergency if it's not threatening, and let the professionals manage this. It's funny because like when I'm teaching in the park, we all have each other's backs, right? So I'm watching my group this way and they're looking this way and I can tell if something's going on. I'm like, what's going on behind me? So we all have each other's back, but when you're by yourself, just be on a little bit more high alert. And then weather. Okay, we are moving into the summer season, and this is obviously when a lot of people want to be exercising outside, but be aware of heat-related issues and illnesses. So humid, hot, dry, all those temperatures can greatly impact the physiology in the body. And as we know as instructors, it's important for us to extend that warm-up a little bit longer, so we give the body a little bit more time to prepare for those demands of exercise. You might want to take more frequent breaks, maybe even move to a different part of the park that you're not normally used to teaching in because there's some more shade, and even consider changing the times, especially if you're just in like a heat wave for a couple of days. Could you push back or move up the times of your classes just so that you're not working out in the max heat of the day? And then the dewy ground, like I mentioned before, okay? Make sure that you are thinking about your clients and your class safety first and foremost. You might have something on your agenda that involves running or jump squats, plyo lunges in that workout, and you arrive to the park and it's really wet. So be ready to alter that workout on the fly and really dial in your cueing in those moments. Slow down the pace and dial up your precision in your delivery so that people are moving as safely as possible. Group exercise, by nature, by design, is high energy, fun, engaging. And this is probably why, if you went outdoors, why people followed you. But we're always looking to help people become healthier. So we want those first timers to come to us and we want to capture them and convert them into regular clients. So the first timer experience needs to be spot on. Get there early, talk to people who are new, introduce yourself, ask them about what they're currently doing for their fitness routines, ask them what they're passionate about in life, identify any injuries, just kind of spend a little bit of time getting to know them, and then during the workout, continue making those connections. Not just with that new person, right? But with everybody in our class, we want to deliver an experience that makes people feel like they are the only person in our class. Even though there's 10 or 15 other people, they are getting so much attention from you that they feel like it's one-on-one. And using people's names frequently is one of the best ways to do that. Everybody likes to hear their name said. And then if you can couple that with some good feedback, not just good job with that squat, but Good job on pushing your hips back when you sit into that squat. So giving them really detailed information about what they're doing and why they should continue it, or what they're doing and how to correct it. Again, the benefit of keeping it in the smaller scale is that it's a lot easier to do that. After class, during your cool down, okay, you're gonna say that you'll be there to hang out and answer questions, but make sure you get to those first timers. Connect with them, ask them what they thought about the class, and then ask them what their best mode of communication is, because the follow-up is key. The next day, you need to reach out to them. Ask them how they're feeling, and then provide them with your class packages or your fees. Get them to convert at that moment. And then as you are, going through weeks and months and now years with your clients, you gotta keep things engaging and fun. So think about doing some challenges. Right now with one of my groups, we're just doing a bingo card, and it's not just related to my class. I'm asking them to look at other health habits, and we're trying to fill up our bingo card in 30 days. And maybe in that challenge, it has something like in the GroupMe app, you ask them to take a selfie of themselves doing something fitness related on a weekend when they're not normally with you. Or maybe in that app, they're communicating and posting a new recipe that they found. And all of those things relate to that bingo game, and they can put a little check off when they do it. And finally, since you are working in a park in a community, go to a community association meeting. Ask for a little bit of time to highlight what you do and what you can offer those people in your community. And lastly, some best practices. We want to be respectful of the people in the public and our park staff, our park rangers. As I mentioned before, you're going to see the same people over and over in the mornings and in the evenings. You're going to get to know their dogs and their kids. Be polite. Say good morning. If you're using music, make sure that it is at a tolerable level and it's not annoying people that are also trying to enjoy the park space. If you have any issues with the staff, go to them and ask them questions. Ask them to, maybe trim a tree if it's bothering you. But also be there to help them. When the pandemic hit and we were outside for, every day of the week, we saw the same park ranger every day, helping with the trash, blowing all the sand off of the sidewalks. He was so generous to us that we even chipped in and got him a gift card, just to show our gratitude and to just keep things in the best working relationship as possible. You don't want to interfere with their job. So a friend of mine who has an outdoor camp said that, she was leading a class outside on the grass, and the guy that was doing the lawnmower, cutting the grass, came by, and they just continued to work out in that space. So you're basically causing an issue for that person and enabling them, or prohibiting them from doing their job. So when you see situations like that, move. Get out of their way. Don't become a problem to them and their jobs. They're here to keep the park clean. Establish pet policies. So this is something that you'll have to work with your clients and determine on an individual basis. My group decided no pets because we thought it was more of a distraction. Because you're tying them up, you're leaving them over here, and you're doing a station of exercise, and people are also walking their dogs. And if your dog or somebody else's dog is prone to jumping up and lunging at other dogs, it can just be really cumbersome and annoying. So I love dogs, but we decided to not have them. That, again, is something that you guys can decide on yourselves. Remind participants to bring complaints to you. If they're seeing something that's bothering them about the park environment, they should not reach out to the Park and Rec department. They should reach out to you, and you reach out to the park department. So going back to that lawnmower situation that I told you about, one of those members got annoyed by the guy trying to cut the grass and complained to the park department. Well, of course, their answer was, well, then you can't be there on those days. So it kind of bit them in the butt because now in their terms and agreements, they are not allowed to exercise at 9 a.m. on Wednesdays when he's cutting the grass. They have to find a new location. So refer all of those clients to you first and then you deal with it. Get to know other instructors that are using the park. Okay, these are your colleagues. They're not your competitors. And ideally, we're trying to get people to enjoy working out and to provide them with experiences that further enhance their health benefits. And if somebody next to you is a yoga instructor or a Pilates instructor, and you don't teach those formats, this can be a great way to further assist your clients. And then that makes you look even more valuable to them because you have a network of people that you can refer out to. And lastly, outside we can come into a lot of things that are outside of our control. Weather, things that are happening in the public setting that are unexpected to us, and they can be a distraction. The most important thing is to make sure as that workout is coming to an end that you bring the energy back. You have those last 2 to 3 minutes that your sole responsibility is to make those members think that this was the best 60 minutes of their day. You want them leaving on a high with an endorphin rush, feeling like they just got the best workout in the best environment. So make sure you bring it and always end on a win. I hope this information was helpful to you. I'm going to turn it back over to Jackie, and I'm hoping to get some questions from you guys.
Wonderful, thank you so much. As you can see on your slide right now, we have some resources, and these are the resources that Angel used to create her presentation today. If you want to dig just a little bit deeper, you can check in and find out a little bit more information about all of these wonderful resources. So that brings us to the end of our conversation, but not the end of our webinar. We are still going to be having some time for some live questions. So Angel's going to hang out here with us for some live questions in just a few minutes. Go ahead and type those into your YouTube viewer. You should have the YouTube viewer available to you. Type in your question for Angel. In just a few moments, we'll be taking those. But right now, you can see on your screen Angel's contact information. So you can connect with her, maybe check out some of the classes that she is offering, and continue the conversation with our presenter today. Also, remember that ACE, as a provider of continuing education, has a lot of great courses to offer you along this topic area. So if you're wanting to learn more about how to offer great group fitness experiences, great group exercise experiences outdoors, you can check out a few of the other courses that we have available for you, and you can see those on your slide right now. And as we mentioned at the beginning of today's live event, this is a reminder that right now we have ACE Pro Compass live. It is live on the ACE website. You can find Pro Compass at compass.acefitness.org. And this is a brand new career building tool that we have cultivated just for you, the ACE Certified Health and Fitness Experts. And you can use the information that is within Compass to navigate the health and fitness space and build the career that you want. So go over right now, right after this webinar, to compass.acefitness.org and start building the career that you want today. And we do also want to mention that we have our brand new ACE job board available to you as well. And you can go there to search for jobs that match your expertise in the industry and upload your resumes and connect with potential employers. And you can find the ACE job board at careers.acefitness.org. And lastly, you already know about this, but just in case, if you haven't downloaded yet, As a certified ACE professional, you do have access to the free ACE Pro Connect app. That is a great place for you to connect, learn, and grow with other ACE professionals. So we look forward to seeing you there, where you can listen to podcasts and watch short videos, great content that will help you connect with other ACE professionals. Okay, let's take just a little bit of time for some live questions. Hopefully you've been typing in your questions on the YouTube viewer right now. And one question that I'm going to start with, Angel, is, we're in San Diego. The ACE headquarters is located in San Diego, California, which is a beautiful place with great weather and lots of outdoor spaces to exercise, right? So we're very lucky.
Yes, we are.
in that way. But for those of us that may live in other parts of the country with different weather, with maybe not as many green spaces, what are some of your thoughts or recommendations around other places that they might be able to utilize, maybe parking lots, or just other thoughts that we might be able to consider when we want to offer outdoor exercise for our clients?
Absolutely. You make a great point, because the outdoor environment in grass sometimes isn't really that great. It's lovely to look at, but it can cause a lot of issues. So a concrete ground is really helpful. Yeah. I would recommend, because we have a lot of buildings right now that are being underutilized because so many people are working from home. So look in your town and city and see if there is a large space, but you're obviously going to want to consult with the owner of that building to see if you can use that space. And maybe they would charge you a fee, just like a city permit. They would charge you a fee to use that for, a monthly basis or whatever. But I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, great. So bigger parking lot spaces, if you're going to be doing sprints, maybe.
Yeah.
I think someone on our live chat here recommended church parking lots, right? If those are only being utilized for certain days of the week, they might have some good availability.
Exactly. Yes. Great call.
Awesome. So another item here is, when we're wanting to engage new potential participants with us, maybe they're walking by, they see with their dog, and they're like, oh, there's a little class there. That looks like fun. I maybe want to join that. You're in the middle of your class, though.
Yes.
So maybe let's talk about how we could engage some of those people as they're just visually seeing what's going on.
Sure. And you can actually ask them, if you have a second, just hang out, watch what's going on, and then make sure that you are, really on point. And then when you have a break, say, I'm in the middle of teaching, but if you have a second, just sit, watch, and we can chat in a moment. Or you can say, you know what, if you have, you can always keep a business card right there. As I mentioned, they can take that and contact you. Or it might even be helpful to just have always a notepad and say, write your information down here. I'll reach out to you, in an hour when class is over.
Great. So they can leave their little note and be on their way, and then it's in your court to make the next step.
Exactly.
Right. Perfect. Okay, so another great question coming in is around, using outdoor spaces. What if you, as the group exercise instructor or personal trainer, the health professional, has an open space in your own yard? Maybe you have a large yard that you're wanting to use. So what are some of the things that we need to think about if it's your own private space?
Yeah, and actually that's very common. And the insurance that you get, that blanket with the professional liability, that covers you anywhere, outdoors or even in your garage. So that's all feasible under that blanket insurance plan. So people can absolutely do that. I would consider neighbors.
Yes.
Time of day that you're doing this. Always invite them to participate. That might be one of the best ways to get them over to your side. But if you are in your yard and it's 6 a.m, maybe you consider and alter things like slams, med ball slams, and things like that, right? Just make sure that it's not causing a lot of noise, nor, you might not use the music at that time of day.
Right,
yeah.
Yes.
But you still need to, it's a business. So all of those things that I talked about in the webinar about setting up the sole proprietorship and all of the accounting and banking, that is all the same.
Great, yeah. So maybe some of the logistics are a little bit different for running the class. We want to think about the music and not disrupting our neighbors. But your point is great to invite them along.
Yeah.
And maybe you can have a whole neighborhood
Exactly.
boot camp outside in your yard. Awesome. So another question that I have that's coming in, Alicia, thanks for your question. When we're working with groups, generally speaking, this could be outdoors or indoors, maybe there is a difference. What do you feel like it might be an ideal size of the classes that we want to think about in an outdoor space?
Well, so the benefit of being outdoors is you can spread out more,
Yeah.
right? You can use more equipment and give people more space, but that makes it harder on the instructor to deliver that really good feedback, that individual feedback that we want.
Yep.
And you need to be respectful of the space. You don't want to take up 50% of the grass.
Yep.
And have people that are trying to enjoy the great outdoors and be annoyed by you.
Taking up all of the park.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So to answer the question, gosh, I mean, I guess it does depend on the space.
Yep.
For me, I think in outdoor setting, because I utilize a lot of different equipment, and I may have to give feedback, about biomechanics on the TRX that might take a little bit longer. I specifically designed the class like that. So I know that I'm going to spend a little bit more time over here.
Yeah.
I'm going to do easier stations on the other ones. So they can, I know that they know how to do a jump squat. I don't have to worry too much about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So for me, it's about, I don't know, I would say 8 to 10 is ideal. It gets a little bit too chaotic. And I was going for the exclusivity part too.
Right,
And I
right.
think that's why the members really like it. It's kind of funny when somebody new walks by, they're just like, they can't join. I'm like, okay, now you're being ridiculous.
They might be
But
great.
they
Yeah.
really enjoy, because when you're off of a microphone and you don't have to be dialed into music, which is, normally I'm teaching 2 classes at once, there's not a second for me to really have a moment with somebody that's just like casual and funny.
Right.
It's, if I'm talking to them, it's about their form, right?
Right.
So in that outdoor environment, keeping it at a smaller scale, we can stop and pause and laugh, and I can go into a little bit more further explanation about something, why we're doing it or how to do it a different way,
Yeah.
because we have the time, and it just feels, like a little bit more tight-knit, a little bit more family-oriented.
Yeah, that's a good point about what kind of feeling or community are you sort of wanting to cultivate,
Yeah.
right? And I guess I would also add to that, because Angel has been teaching for a long time, she's very experienced. So if you're newer to the industry, newer to teaching, maybe starting with smaller groups too, just to be sure that you've got all the things in line, and
Absolutely.
you're really dialed in with each of those participants too.
Yep, for sure. Your friends are going to be your first clients, right?
Right. Friends and family,
Yep.
of course. All right, so we have a couple more questions here, and I'm curious around, you mentioned some of the challenges or different things that you might use to keep people engaged. One that you mentioned was a bingo challenge, I think, and so maybe we could talk a little bit more about some of the other things that you've tried, other things that help with keeping this community involved if we're working out in a outdoor space.
Yeah. So, another thing that we did was tying back to knowing other instructors was getting people to try different kinds of workouts. So we did in a challenge, can you go to my friend Amy's yoga class? And these were all outside, right?
Yeah.
So it was really fun for them to just move in the same city, in generally the same neighborhoods,
Yeah.
but different times of day to experience different kind of workouts, run clubs, yoga, Pilates. So we just, had a challenge of, can we learn new formats? And if you had 30 or 60 days to try all of these things. So it was a really good way to collaborate and cross-pollinate people.
Right, and then Amy is sending people to your class.
Exactly. Yep.
That's a great idea. Exactly. So a couple of the logistical items, and this will be some of our last questions here. Thank you everybody for typing your live questions in around, again, music and sound. That's one of the things in an outdoor space that can be just very challenging. I know I've taught some yoga classes outside, and using a microphone sometimes, it's maybe more hassle than it's worth. So talk to us about microphones and sort of if that's necessary and any tips that there might be.
And the strain on the voice, right? I mean, all instructors, after 25 years, this is what it sounds like, right? We do unfortunately get that vocal fry. And if you are trying to talk over music in an outdoor environment with external noise, that's gonna compound the stress on your voice. So, going back to that other question about how many people, enough that they can stay in a kind of a small setting and hear you without you having to shout.
Right.
Because the microphone is not very conducive, and it's I don't know, I think it's kind of annoying for people to be walking by and you have loud music and a microphone, like you don't own the park, right? So you just kind of want to do your thing, be respectful, and don't draw attention to yourself in a negative way.
Right, yes. Draw attention to yourself in a positive way. Get those dog walkers to come join your class the next week.
You got it.
Awesome. Great. Thank you so much, Angel,
welcome.
for answering all of our questions. And if you would like to continue the conversation with Angel, once again, you can connect with her using her contact information. And Angel, maybe we'll have you answer a few questions on our Facebook page, and we'll enjoy having that conversation with her. On your slide right now, you can see if you would like to earn continuing education credits, you can do so by going to the link at the bottom of your slide, that is acefitness.org/past webinars, and that will allow you to purchase today's course. A recorded version will go into your MyAce account along with a quiz, and once you pass the quiz, you'll receive 0.1 CECs. And be sure and join us next week. We have another live webinar coming up with our good friend Michelle Dalcourt. He'll be here talking about how to improve performance through breath work, and we're very excited to have him back as well in our ACE studios. Remember to stay connected with ACE. We have a lot of ways that you can do that now. Don't forget to download your ACE Pro Connect app. Join us on social media and check out ACE Pro Compass. Again, that's at compass.acefitness.org. Angel Chelik, thank you very much for joining us
Thank
today.
you for having me.
All right, thanks everyone for watching. Now, let's get people moving.